Okay, I've finally done it. After months of relentless bullying in my comment section, I've done it. The whole world, and I mean the whole entire world, is part of the Holy Roman Empire. Adding so many nations is certainly going to impact some stuff like imperial authority, relations between nations, and I think that the League War is going to be pretty interesting with all these new member states. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and share the link with a friend. Spread the love. Oh, also you can hop in the Discord if you want to chat with me. I'm pretty active in there. I kid you not, we are 1 year in, and Sweden has already declared independence with literally everybody and their brother Poland, who got the personal union over Lithuania, Austria, Burgundy, and England. So safe to say Denmark is not going to make it out of this one, at least not whole with the Kalmar Union. And I've seen Sweden taking land from Norway quite a bit this patch, so we may see a very strong Sweden very early on. And yeah, I think we're definitely going to see a lot of stuff like this. Whenever the emperor dies, you're going to get a very random emperor because there's a lot more large nations in the empire. That does give you a bonus whenever they're voting for you or choosing who they're going to vote for. So Aragon is now the emperor of the HRE, at least for now. Oh my gosh. And so yeah, there's a bunch of modifiers that scale up based on the number of princes within the HRE. So clearly the emperor has some bonuses here with a maximum manpower of 340,000, gaining almost 4,000 per month, making quite a bit of money there as well, with a force limit buff of 313,000. So yeah, Aragon can definitely land a pretty big army. Obviously they can't afford that, but if they wanted to, they could. Another year, another new emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, this time England. And sadly, it looks like despite being members of the Holy Roman Empire, Constantinople cannot be protected from the Turks. Probably going to get annexed if I had to guess. A new emperor here this time, one province minor, Anhalt in Germany. An interesting choice. Probably not super intelligent considering how absolutely monstrous the Ottomans are very shortly into the game. Probably going to be a problem if I could guess. I assume that this has actually nothing to do with the whole world being in the Holy Roman Empire, but Volgaster Low Countries is a country because Volgast, a nation in Pomerania, got the Burgundian inheritance. So let's go Volgast. This should make stuff pretty interesting. I actually forgot that being a member of the HRE, unless you are the emperor or specifically a kingdom tier something special, you were a duchy, and that means the Ottomans and places like the Ming are locked at duchy status. Okay, not the Ming, because the Celestial Empire reform forces them to be an empire. A lot of these bigger nations like Timurids and Baumanes Vijay, they're all duchies, which means they're going to have some pretty limiting stuff when it comes to this governing capacity. Might lead to some issues for some people as the game goes on. Yeah, pretty much to be expected. Whenever a small person gets the Burgundian inheritance, France is going in to collect their claims. So probably most of it going to go to them. But obviously within the HRE, AE is very much an issue. So they probably won't be able to take a whole lot because the AI does avoid coalitions if they can. Well, it looks like the Ottomans are invading the Mamluks. Very interestingly, the Mamluks have Aragon, Austria, and a bunch of other random people, including Catholics, on their side. And the Pope has declared a crusade against the Ottomans, but I don't think it really matters because the Pope is getting dominated by the Ottomans. Hard to say how things are going to go. The Ottomans are taking pretty heavy losses, but so are the allied nations, namely the Mamluks. Turns out that Sweden was just having the rise before the fall. They lost a ton of land in the south to Denmark, and Finland apparently is here. Also, Poland is pushing pretty heavily over here into Russia, and Novgorod is gone, but Muscovy will not be able to form Russia without St. Petersburg, I think. I could be wrong, but the Poles are only one province away from Moscow, so we'll see how that goes for them. A new challenger enters the arena for the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire in Portugal and their North African Empire over here. And it's important that we remember that you have to be Catholic to be the Emperor of the HRE unless the religious peace has been decided within the League War, which the League War may end up being massive. I'm excited to see how it turns out. Interestingly enough, the Shadow Kingdom event has fired, and it looks like Venice, Savoy, a couple of other people over here, Naples, who owns land up here in Tuscany, have left the HRE, but the Pope and Milan stayed. So this land should be gobbled up by members of the HRE quickly, especially considering that it costs less AE to take it. And we also have the Protestant Reformation here with Bohemia, Brandenburg, as well as Scandinavia leading the charge for the Protestants. And wow, that is quite the League War. We have a basically Catholic West and a Protestant East, with Lithuania just, you know, sitting in there in the middle, ready to receive the hands of the Protestants that are certainly coming. I guess they broke free from Poland and hated them enough to join the other league. So I don't know who's going to win this, but I'm curious to see. And whether they're within the HRE or not within the HRE, the collapse of the Ming is inevitable. Though funnily enough, they're actually losing less imperial authority than they were in the beginning. It was like almost 8 at the beginning. Now they're only losing 5.8. So I guess you could say that the HRE is doing better than it was before, though I assume most of that has to do with tags being eliminated, so there's less heretic princes. Obviously, they're never going to pass a reform. 300 heretic princes is pretty bad, but you know, they've got a chance maybe to possibly... No, actually, no, they don't. And here we have it, the new emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, Bavaria. Notably Protestant, along with the majority of the development over here in Germany, as well as up into Scandinavia, and the Anglican Church over in England, of course. So yes, the Protestants have won the League War, and they enforced Protestantism as the dominant faith, so all the Catholics are out. How that will affect stuff in the long term, I don't think it really will, but still, it was interesting to see it because more people, I think, were interested in joining because of their membership of the Holy Roman Empire. Meanwhile, on the political front, we have Great Britain, who has formed, France, who has conquered northern Italy, though lost a bunch of land in France, I guess. Anyways, we have the two Sicilies, and then we have the Ottomans, who are terrifying. They are terrifying. Also, Hungary is just Slovakia. Shout out Valencia, hanging out over here in Spain. And super funny, each of the Balearic Isles is owned by a different nation. We have France, Castile, and then Majorca, I think, is this one. So that's pretty good. With all of these boys being part of the HRE, I wanted to give the colonial areas a chance with the natives specifically. Putting them in the HRE actually forced them to settle. So we actually have some decent federations here. Like most of them are 10 plus provinces. Outside of British Canada, not very many people are able to colonize. Obviously, you have Castile here in the Caribbean, as well as in South America with Portugal, a couple of French, and then Friesland over here. But aside from that, that's basically it, and we're over 100 years into the game, so looks like the natives may actually have a chance. And holy Saxony, Batman, that is a very good looking Saxony, currently beating the tar out of the Ottomans, who have been coalitioned by a lot of people from every continent around them. So very interesting to see. They're definitely going to lose, though I don't know how much they'll actually give up. You can only lose so much, so they're still probably going to be at least in the top, you know, 1 or 2 great powers after this, but that's pretty good. Castile has absolutely been gutted, with Leon, Granada, and Valencia making appearances here, as well as Navarra. So rip Castile, but very happy to see a couple of new tags in the area. And the French continue to grow, but for some reason, they're not growing in France. They don't look like they've taken any land over in France, but they've just been reaching outside. They even have a province over in Ragusa because reasons. Poland also doing incredibly well, with Novgorod coming back from the grave. I imagine they were kicked out of Muscovy at some point. We also have Smolensk down here, and Lithuania is migrating like a horde or something. They are migrating. Somehow Yarkand, who's a subject of Chagatai in 1444, has migrated all the way over into Manchuria, pushing Oirat out, and Shun has gotten most of China united. But don't worry, Ming still exists here in North Korea. Turns out they are the communists in this timeline. And the guys who colonized Australia this time around is Majapahit and Vijayanagar, which you don't see that very often, so I'm very happy to see that. Meanwhile, South America is a bit of Castile with Volgast, with their capital in Rio de Janeiro. Volgast. Between them getting the Burgundian inheritance and now exiling themselves to Brazil, I really don't know what more of an interesting history arc I could write for these people. The Ottomans are also colonizing down in Brazil. I feel like the Ottomans don't ever go colonial, but they're going colonial this time. Castile has been kicked out of Colombia, but they're still doing well over here. At least, you know, they have the lands themselves. And I just realized that these guys are not colonial nations. These are direct holdings, because colonial nations can't form within the HRE, I guess. So British North America has a very terrifying ring to it. I'm actually recording this on the 4th of July. So, hurts my heart a bit, but they're probably very strong because there's a lot of development over here. Enough to make Great Britain the number 2 great power behind the Ottomans. We'll see how the Ottomans look after that colonial war, but in 3rd place is France with Shun, Poland, Bengal, VJ, and then Saxony in the 8th spot. A very strong, beefy Saxony. I am officially rooting for Sexy Saxman or Beefy Aachen to finish it out. And this right here makes my patriotic American heart hurt. Great Britain is now North America. The Portuguese have Alaska and the left coast, and the French have Central America, interestingly enough. The British have southern South America, and the rest is pretty contested, but I'm very happy to see Grenadan, Brazil. Songhai and Somalia split most of Africa over here, with Congo and Kilwa in the south, but can't forget about Luba. Nice to see a Luba there. Looks like Bengal ended up uniting Australia, and Malacca almost uniting the majority of the development over here in Indonesia. Though they weren't the only blob in India, with Gujarat looking incredibly good, and Bamanas holding a few provinces down in the south. Timurids did well, but they were not able to get to Delhi, so no Mughals this time around, but Timmy, looking pretty good. And looking over in East Asia, you may wonder, where is Shun's name? Well, my friends, it's up here. Because reasons. And the Japanese are not doing well. Looks like Shun has actually invaded the home islands. Safe to say they would probably win that war. Though I have to say, my heartache that I see of having their capital in Maryland is a little bit taken over by the fact that they lost most of Britain to Germany, formed by none other than Sexy Saxony. I said I was rooting for them or Aachen. Turns out they didn't let us down. France also did incredibly well, with Portugal taking some of the land of Castile, Leon having like exactly the same borders they did like hundreds of years ago, and Sicily getting over here into the East Coast with an independent Catalonia. You love to see it. Sicily got kicked out of Naples, but they made their way over into Greece and the Maghreb. So a little here, a little there. And the Ottomans are just gone, completely gone. Split between a massive Poland, Syria, and Najd ended up making an appearance, going for that jihad achievement. Of course, forming Germany removes you from the Holy Roman Empire, so you can see that they formed Germany when they had all this land here, and then they conquered all of this over here, all the striped lines, so that's pretty cool to see. Japan also left the HRE when they formed, as did Somalia and Congo, and I think it's when you form a kingdom, you leave the HRE unless you're an elector, something like that. Oh, but without a doubt, my favorite thing here is the Emperor of Volgast here in southern Brazil. That is gorgeous. I love that. In fact, the HRE in general is just gorgeous. We have Volgast, of course, the Emperor, with Iceland and Greece as the other 2 electors, because there isn't a lot of Protestants in the empire left other than those guys. So makes sense. Though I am very surprised to see that France finishes this game as the #1 great power, followed by Poland and then Germany. I expected Germany to be #1. Great Britain in the 4th spot, so maybe there isn't as much development in North America as I thought there was, and they will almost certainly lose that as soon as they peace out with Germany. Bengal, Shun, and then Gujarat making it into the 6th spot, with Timmy eking out the 8th, which is very good to see. I was bullied into making this video by getting literally constant comments on every single video over the last like 6 months. So if you guys want to bully me into making another scenario, make sure you leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more if you haven't already, and make sure you ding the bell when you subscribe so you get notified every time these videos go live. Special thanks to ALS Gamer, LeGrand Puba, Chio, Josh Kaczynski, Ezra Rhino, Juan Damon, Ian Powell, Cannon Fodder, Corporate Gaming, Anthony Grove, Harry Newhouse, Saranska, Ricardo, Cobalt, Rex, Total Farce for It, Drunk Binary, Nathan Albright, and many more. Thank you. For early access videos, check out the join button or the link in the description below.